is Russ from Conversation Shed. I'm going to do a quick seed reveal or quick discussion of the seeds I'm going to be planting in 2020, so this next season. Now this is forgetting, you know, when things are going to be planted, because obviously some things that I'm going to show you are going to be planted this year, or at least started this year, and then obviously the bulk of the growing is then obviously going to be done next year. Excuse the attire. I just wanted to get this recorded. I've just done a quick bit of decorating. I've been glossing upstairs, so I hate glossing. Anyway, let's have a look, see what we've got in here. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. I've not put them in any particular order. The stuff I've collected myself, the stuff I've bought, the stuff I've got free from magazines. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them seeds, although I have found they don't tend to keep for as long. They tend to be worth planting then, and then if they're kept sort of for the next season, and certainly for the next 2 seasons, those seeds tend to be not viable, which is what I discovered with quite a lot of my brassicas, my lettuces and things like that. They were all from Kitchen Garden. Great magazine, great seeds, but they don't keep. But it depends, I suppose, on what extent you're going to go to keeping your seeds. I chuck them in a seed tin, and they generally go in the back of the shed. I try not to put them in the greenhouse, although last year I did forget. So, you know, I'm saying seeds aren't viable for more than 1 season. In all honesty, it could have been my storage technique. Who knows? I don't. Maybe somebody out there does. But let's start. I think what I've got first of all is some of the chilies and the peppers I'm going to be growing. Now I'm hoping, and the lettuce, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to hold these up and you're going to be able to see them. I'll try and talk a little bit about them first. So I've been buying these seeds sort of in seed sales. They are fresh seeds in the term of I've bought majority of them in the last month or 2. I know a lot of people do that. A lot of people do the Wilco's seed sale. That seems to be a very popular one. I never, in my first season, I was kind of put off Wilco's seeds because I had a lot of failure and a lot of stuff that didn't seem to grow true. The seed didn't seem like it came from good stock. So I've kind of moved away. And also I like to support, I have a very good local garden centre called Silica Lodge here in Scunthorpe. And I like to support them where possible. You know, you'll be complaining, as a gardener, you'll be complaining when they're gone. So support them if you can. Anyway, so this is something that I simply, you know, we got, as a lot of us gardener growers, we buy stuff in the supermarket, go, oh, that tastes nice, let's harvest some of the seeds. So this is, so hopefully you can see these. It's the Marconi long red sweet pepper. I think they're great, the kids love them, they're great for salads, things like that. Before I go any further, before I go on to my chilies, I do have some other seeds coming from some of the chili groups that I'm in. I think I've got some Dorset Nagas coming. Apparently that guy's also sent me a few others. But I do have some seeds coming that aren't from suppliers, but they are from established chili growers that know a hell of a lot more about what they're doing than I do. Also, from my own stock, I have got some isolated jalapeno. That's an early jalapeno, so it's very suitable for British climate. I've got some Sugar Rush peach, which was sent to me by name's completely left me. It'll come back to me. It was sent to me from another YouTuber, from a very good YouTuber. I'll link, if I remember, I'll link to his channel below. He's got a lot more subscribers than me, a lot better content. I've been doing this for a couple of months. I'm still prattling about. The camera's currently sat on top of a toolbox. You know, and as you can tell from the mess behind me, I don't really do any set dressing. So anyway, right, let's move on. So the first one I've got here, which is to go along with the next one, and it's going to be my primary focus of some fermented sauces I'm doing next year. My favourite sort of everyday sauce is Frank's hot sauce. It makes great buffalo wings when you add it with a load of butter, and it's a fermented and then vinegared hot sauce. So its primary chili pepper is cayenne. So I've got two varieties here, and I'm going to try sort of one variety on its own, the other variety on its own. I'm going to try a mix of the both. Just to see what it does to the sauce, what it does flavour profile wise, whether I like it. You know, it's all about experimenting and learning what you do and don't like. So the first one here, which was packed in 2018 and is to be sown by December 2020. I'm not going to do that for all of them. And it's chili pepper hot lemon, which is a cayenne hybrid. Which, like I said, goes hand in hand with the next one, which is going to be my main focus. It's going to be the one that I'm going to do the most of next year, and that is chili cayenne. Next one I got, because it came in a package, I think I've got some tomatoes as well, which is, I'm going to massacre this name, Siligia picante, and it's a trial price seed, as you can see from Thompson & Morgan, which meant I got that packet for actually 49 pence because it was in the 50% off sale, but I did have to buy some other seeds, but I was buying them anyway. And then as my first hot chili is just a orange habanero. So aside from the ones that are also coming in the post and the ones that I've isolated, that is my chilies. Now obviously, so the packets get a bit ratty here because these are some things that I've grown this year. There's some that are fresh. So we're into pretty much, you know, the staples here, the stuff that I generally grow every year, the stuff we've experimented with this year and found that we really like. Now, finally got the kids eating Brussels sprouts. So I grow Brussels sprout Doric F1. Slightly more expensive seed, means that you can't harvest your own seeds because it's an F1 hybrid. But I've got to say, I sowed as a test maybe half a dozen of these. You tend to find in the F1 varieties you don't get as many seeds as you would, and they tend to be a little bit more pricey. But I tested these and I planted 6 seeds in summer with a view to being a winter/Christmas crop. And I've got to say, all 6 fired. So I ended up giving 4 away because I'd only actually saved space for 2. Calabrese, the kids absolutely adore broccoli, so it's just a green sprouting Calabrese. This is a lettuce that it doesn't have great flavour, but it's so easy to grow, grows all year round and adds a bit of colour to your salad bowl, which is lettuce Marvel of 4 Seasons. As you can see, these are from Kitchen Garden. These are saved seeds, so we'll see. Oh, I need to get some more of these. Next one being a leek, which is just Musselburgh. And then we've got something that surprised me actually. We sort of grew it as a bit of fun to see whether the kids would. It's an interesting looking plant, so I thought, you know what, let's see if we get the kids involved. And not only did they enjoy growing them, because it grows so fast, but they enjoyed eating them. We planted a bed of 12, and I think one we lost to something, I can't remember, I think something ate it before it grew big enough to support itself. The rest all got devoured by the kids, raw, cooked, pickled, everything. So that is kohlrabi, green delicacy. Once again, another free one from Kitchen Garden. I want to try and get the variety's called amethyst kohlrabi. It's purple skinned. The fruit, the vegetable inside is exactly the same, but it keeps the kids interested with a bit of colour. This one, not really anything to look at, so I'm not going to dwindle on it. It's another lettuce. It's an all year round. I tend to grow that in the polytunnel for a bit of late season salad. Turnip. Not really had much success with turnip. I'm going to focus on it. This and Swede. I'm really going to focus on this next year. So it's just turnip, and I think that's purple top Milan. These I don't know whether they're going to get sown because I've got some in at the moment, and they're doing really well, but we need to see if the kids like it. The kids absolutely devour all the brassicas really, so cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. So I thought I'd try some Napa cabbage, or I mean they call it wongbok on here, but it's pretty much Napa cabbage, but it gives you a nice big cabbage, good for making kimchi, and generally a good eater. It's a good fryer if you're putting it in stir fryers. It's a good boiler as a substitute for a standard white or green or red cabbage. So yeah, that's Napa cabbage or wongbok. The other one, I've literally just sown some of these. It's one of the sort of reasons I got really annoyed. I bought an action camera and lost my rag with it because I recorded about 2-3 videos worth of footage, and none of it was usable because the audio just didn't work on any of it. But anyway, this cabbage, and it's Sennen. First time I've grown that. See how it goes. I believe my germination rate is about, at the moment, and it's still early days, I only sowed them sort of 4 or 5 days ago, but I've got to say probably 90% at the moment are already up. So they're looking good for a nice winter crop, or an overwinter, for an early crop next year. I don't really know why this is in here because I tend not to grow butterhead type lettuces. I think it's because it's a winter hardy one, and I was looking for stuff to plant in the polytunnel just to keep it active through winter, because I've got quite high raised beds in there. I don't want the soil dying off and becoming stale through the winter. I'm going to sort of layer them up with some alpaca manure. But the beauty of alpaca manure is I can plant straight in it, so I might start some of these off. We'll see how they go. It says I can sow them in August into September, but the harvest then isn't until March, April, May the following year. So it's an overwintered, nice early lettuce, which I actually quite like the sounds of, because we're getting heat waves earlier and you're craving that bit of salad. The supermarkets, yeah, they've got it in, but you know, we grow for a reason. So, you know, just to talk about this briefly, because I find it quite interesting. It is an overwintering salad vegetable. And it says to direct sow, not to module sow. It says thin ones large enough to handle. Oh, they've got to be a foot apart, so it's evidently quite a spreading, quite large. Probably a lot of the outer leaves aren't neat enough for eating. Handy tip: watch out for bird and slug damage. Yeah, I'm not, you know. This is something, now I can't rate these guys enough. For their seeds, their quality seeds, their customer service, and that is the Real Seed Collection. I'll try and make sure there is in focus. This is just a mixed bag of cauliflower seeds. There's all sorts in here, and I tend to just sow a few in a module tray occasionally as the year goes by. And you know what? Sometimes you get a purple one, sometimes you get a Romanesco. Sometimes you get a white one. I think there's even yellow ones in here that are actually meant to be yellow, that not where the curds have gone yellow because they've been exposed to sun. The main problem with these is with all brassicas is flea beetle. But I tend to find if you start them in modules, let them grow up in the module, let them get quite strong, flea beetle can come along and it can have its munch, and it generally doesn't destroy the plant. It's not a major problem, is it, flea beetle, as long as your plants are strong enough when you plant them out. So it can cause an issue for anything direct, so I tend to do as much as I can in module, because it means I can do them at home, I can establish the plant, and then I can take them down the allotment. And I only do them in the sort of 2 centimetre, 2 by 2 centimetre module trays with 48s. So they go down at quite a young age, but it means that I can do, in 48 modules, I can do all my brassicas. In one module tray, I can do all my brassicas at a time. Take them down, little mini plug plants, happy days. Unfortunately, one of my daughters, my eldest daughter, was over my shoulders when I was ordering my seeds, and she saw this. She said, "Oh, Dad, can we grow?" Because she's a big fan of celery. Apologies for the light. The sun's decided it wants to make an appearance in the last dying half an hour of the day, and that is celery blush. It's a self-blanching, which means you grow it quite dense, as opposed to leaving quite a bit of space in between. You grow them quite dense. It means that you don't have to force them, you don't have to, once they've grown up, you don't have to cover them in something to turn the shafts white, or the stalks white, or in this case white and pink. But we'll see. I've not had much joy with celery in the past. But as I've mentioned in countless plot tours, we've since discovered that the soil on my site wasn't fed for a good few years at least, and was continually grown in. So it's required quite a lot of nitrogen balancing, quite a lot of fertiliser, quite a lot of intense fertilisers. Also tends to be why I give my plants a good start in modules, because they get that initial bit of food from the fertiliser, and then from the compost, and then obviously going on, they I plant them in. I feed the hole with a bit of blood, fish and bone, and they grow on from there, and it tends to give them quite a good start. Once they're established, seaweed fertiliser, homemade if you can, comfrey tea, nettle tea. I think my liquid fertiliser purchase for this last season totaled £10, which has been 4 bottles of Doff liquid seaweed. Those who know me knows that that's one I swear by. Anyway, next one, standard one, boring one, carrot Charisma F1. That's my standard growing carrot. I am having a bit of competition, bit of friendly competition with some friends. We're going to be doing some carrots, some elephant garlic, and some showmaster onions, which are in here somewhere. Just as a laugh and an excuse to meet up and have a beer next September. We're spread out around the country, so a bit of a laugh. Anyway, next one, standard Guardsman onions, spring onions. I don't know why that's in there. Another cauliflower, because, well, this actually, when you want a specific cauliflower, good white-headed cauliflower, Clapton F1, it's a F1 variety, nearly all germinates, it's great. I bought these, they're the Rob Smith range from Dobbies. They were cultivated in my hometown, it's the only reason I bought them. But since then we've discovered it's actually a really nice cabbage. It's a conical cabbage, if I remember rightly. Yeah, pointed cabbage. And really nice. Really, this year grew really quick. I think from planting out in modules, from planting out the modules, so the plug plants, they were harvested in 6 to 8 weeks. The weather just, the brassicas just took off. So that is white cabbage, Jersey, Wakefield, from my hometown of Wakefield, not Jersey. This I'm toying with the idea of growing. Once again, it's another overwinter, so that's why I was thinking I might have a go at it. And it's what they call Chinese kale. You probably will have eaten it in your stir fries from the Chinese and not even realised. Apparently it just tastes like broccoli shoots. You'll see a lot of this. Beetroot, bolt hardy, not going to rattle on about it. More cabbage. This is once again real seed. Their seeds are amazing. Their customer service is amazing. With every seed they send you a letter, and that letter details all the stuff that's on the packet, but also details how to harvest, how to grow it on for your own seeds. They want to perpetuate, and they've just got their organic license as well, if that's your sort of thing. But they want you to perpetuate your own seed, so they're not trying to get you in as a sort of, oh, I've got to come back to you because they only do seeds that are non-hybrid, non-F1. I don't think there's anything they sell that you can't harvest a seed from, and they give you all the information on how to harvest the seeds as well, so can't fault them. So this is just Greyhound summer cabbage. Swedes, my favourite type of Swede is just Joan, or I think I think Swedes are also known as Rutabaga. I think it says so on the packet actually, but this is the variety of Joan, and this is another lettuce. Not had any real joy with this, down to me really failing to look after lettuce, and that's just a red iceberg. Nearly there. Didn't think this was going to go on so long, but I've spoken more than I intended to. So a lot of this I think is leftovers. No, it's not actually. A lot of this is new. I don't know how these are in here. Pea seeds, Ambassador. Really chuffed with these this last year. I think I bought the wrong ones for next year. No, I haven't. Good. I bought the same ones for next year. Happy days. I don't actually need that pack, so that might get donated. Once again, as I said earlier, the kids love their brassicas as more than anything else. Broccoli, purple sprouting. One of my ethoses is grow what is pricier in the supermarket. I'm not going to say expensive because inflation. But grow what's, the more pricey alternatives to the standards. I mean, you can pick up a head of broccoli for 30 pence. But if you want something a bit special with your dinner, but you want broccoli, you're buying your purple sprouting or even your green sprouting. So that's the one, I choose to grow. Why grow the one that costs 30 pence at the supermarket when you can grow the one? I mean, these for 4 or 5, you get them in packets of 4 or 5 stems, don't you? They're £1 a pack. So, why pay that when, this packet of seeds, I don't think, because it's Marshalls, I don't think it'll have a price on it. There's 400 seeds in there. 400. Each plant, you don't do the mistake I had, it is cut and come again to an extent. So you take your first few big heads, it will then throw out another set of smaller heads. Generally, I believe, although I'm going to experiment with this over the next year, generally I believe that is then it. But we'll see what happens with that. But unfortunately, I mean, broccoli is such a long crop. I mean, you plant March, April, May next year. They won't be ready to harvest until January 2021 at the earliest. That's if, the season's favourable. So you want that couple of crops, and you want to dedicate a decent amount of space to this. You don't want to put all this time and effort into something that takes nigh on 12 months to grow. Just to grow a little bit of it. Think about things. Now we're on to my onions now. Never had much joy growing onions from seed. but I'm going to try again. I was spurred on by another allotment holder to try again. So I've gone for what seems to be a staple, one that seems to be, basically if it goes wrong, it's kind of got to be my fault, and that's Elsa Craig. It's a Scottish hybrid, been around for many years. This is the onion. Now all the guys that are taking part in this, I think there's 4 of us now, we've all bought the same seed from the same place, which means it's just going to be down to conditions, feeding, technique. So it's a bit of a laugh. So that's onions and that's Showmaster. Doing quite a lot of tomatoes, and I'm going to experiment this year. I'm going to grow some outside, some inside, some in baskets, some in beds, some in the dirt, some in the polytunnel. Giving the greenhouse a break this year from tomatoes. I think that's going to have maybe chilies in it. Maybe. I don't know. I tend to plan my beds and then just wing it for my greenhouses, and it probably should actually be close to being the other way around. But this is another one like those chili peppers. It was sort of giveaway, sort of, try these seeds. We've just developed them, and I've got a feeling it's Thompson and Morgan's version, although they do Sweet Million. I think it's their version of a Sweet Million. Although from the picture, actually, Sweet Million is red. Looks like these Sweet Baby, which is what they are, might be orange, so that'd be nice. I've already told you what these are, I'm not going to rattle on. Sweet Million F1. My tomatoes hardly ever make it off the plot, to be honest. The kids tend to devour them, or I eat them while I'm working down there. Normally I do a lot of homemade tomato sauces. Normally I do San Marzanos for those. These last couple of years I've struggled to either A, get good seed, or develop a good strong plant. So this year I'm going to go with Roma VF, and it's a cordon variety, which means all these I believe are cordon varieties. So it's the type that you take out the side shoots and then eventually obviously nip off the top when it reaches a nice height. So that's those. I'll probably just do 3 more after this. I'm going to leave all the odds and sods that are in there. I don't think there's any seeds anyway, and I've not missed any. This is probably becoming quite a lengthy, long, boring video of you sat looking at my ugly face and flashing seed packets. But some people are into this sort of thing, and I think it's a bit of fun. It's nice for me to be able to look back over my videos and document things. Anyway, this is Tomato Sun Gold. It's another F1. As I've said, I mean, F1 seeds tend to be a bit more pricey, but they tend to be bulletproof. And then we've got just a couple of others. I'm going to rattle on, plus the light's failing. Broad Bean, Aqua Dolce. Claudia, I thought it was just Aqua Dolce. These, I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to go for a sort of February, May plantation date. I don't think I'm going to put them in January. If I do, and I know this is a bit controversial, but if I do start them in January, I will probably start them in modules. I know they tend not to transplant well, so I'm told, but I can't put these in. If I put these direct sowed in January in the allotment, I won't see a single one of them. The mice or the rats or the chickens or the flea beetles or the caterpillars or the slugs, they'll be gone. They'll be gone. You know, I have a family, I have work, I have a bit of education going on. I don't have the time that a lot of people do to sort of spend hours every day or even every other day on the allotment, picking slugs and turning over dirt, and I just don't have. There's not enough hours in the day for me to be able to do that. So that's the other reason I do modules and I let the plants establish at home, is to give me a greater success rate with the time I've got, with having the kids and everything like that and the dog. It's a lot easier for me to nip out on an evening and water all the module trays and things like that than it is for me to hop in the car, drive half an hour down the road, sort out with all the, by the time I've been to the allotment to do what I could have done at home in 20-30 minutes, I've been gone 2 or 3 hours. And I just can't do that. Pea Ambassador, I'm not going to show you the packet, we've already spoken about those. And then the first for me for next year, oh no, there is another 2 actually. I'll show you. I picked it up once again because it was in a seed sale and it was cheap, and it's seed tape of beetroot bolt hardy, and then the last one is Dwarf Bean, and that is variety Sinesta. As I say, a lot of the things that I grow, chard, once again from the real seed, they'll be a little bit peed off. I grow that purely for chicken food. Nobody in we tried it, nobody in the house will actually eat it. Just, a perpetual something that I always have, and that's lettuce. Little gem, nice little fast growing lettuce. Quite hardy as well, you can grow it quite late in the season. I think I've got some in now, and they'll be ready in 3 to 4 weeks. They'll slow down a bit now because the days aren't so long, but they're in the polytunnel, they're protected, controversially slug pellets around them. Yeah, it's a staple. And sometimes, I've been known to carve one of them off, go give it a rinse under the tap and sit and eat it like an apple. The amount of times I go, when I do grab time down the allotment, sometimes it's at meals times and things like that, and I will get my lunch off the plot, which is also another reason why a lot of the stuff doesn't make it home, because I tend to have breakfasts, dinners, teas whilst I'm just pottering around. That's probably the best way to do it, because you probably eat more than you normally would. But I'm going to finish the video there. There is more to come from me. Hopefully you'll see my setup improve. I finally got the action camera sorted. I've dug out my camcorder, which I've recorded this on. Hopefully this will be the best quality, the best sound, things like that. I am getting some tripods and things like that for down on the allotment and for in the greenhouse, because I'm going to document as much as I can for me, and then hopefully, either you guys pick up some hints and tips from me, or you guys in the comments be savage, tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me different ways of doing things, tell me your experiments. I'm always up for trying things, trying different ways of growing things, but I also, I like the old school tried and tested as well. So yeah, give me things to try, give me new varieties to try, give me things that you've planted for your kids that you didn't think that they would enjoy, and they've devoured. Like I said, for me this last year it was kohlrabi. The reason I'm putting in the broad beans is because one of the other